Hello, guys, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 4th of September, back to school week for a lot of people here in the UK. The weather's certainly going to be turning cooler soon, but enjoy this weekend, hopefully, with some nice weather coming over the next couple of days as Radio 2 in the Park hits Essex this weekend. I'm joined by late passport Zach Jones for All Late News. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
Well, it's been an eventful week. If you have been a fan of politics and sport, there's certainly been a lot to talk about. We're going to kick it off with plank of the week this week. I have two planks of the week to mention about. The first plank, a few actually. Number one is Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker on the WWE wrestling event for punching the hell out of Roman Reigns after his match at Clash in Paris last weekend. Can I confirm that also featured a fatal four-way match for the World Heavyweight Championship? That was the exact match where Braun Breaker and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed were part of. Well, actually, they weren't part of it. They were, of course, Seth Rollins' alliance with the Visionary. But sadly, after Roman Reigns' win in his match against one of them, they both then speared and tsunami'd Reigns, and he's now in hospital. He will be out for months. Can I just say, on my condolences, I wish him a speedy recovery because it looked like he had a nasty injury. But that is the reality of wrestling for you. Another nomination this week goes to Lewis Hamilton for crashing out at the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. I never give Lewis Hamilton a nomination, usually, but I have to say it was a very catastrophic mistake from the seven-time world champion at Zandvoort. What was it? Less than 30 laps into the race, he bins it at turn 3. It was a rare error. I have to say, I don't usually give it to Hamilton, but this one definitely is an interesting one. And also as well, I have one more mention, which an event happened in the United States recently that I just want to come on to as well. Last week, Zach gave us a shooting that happened, sadly. But there has been a shooting that has happened recently in America that I just want to bring you up to speed on, which something has just happened, or a stabbing that has taken place in America. It just come up a couple of days ago whilst I was online. I can't see the news, but there was a report of what looked like. Here we go, guys. It was also as well. I'm going to give it to this person here. It was a University of Idaho event that happened. Police have released hundreds of photos of the Idaho investigation. This comes as they released hundreds of photos, what appeared to be Brian Koppelberger, if I pronounced his name correctly, his apartment and a rental house where he admitted to killing Madison Mogen, 21, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Zena Kanodu, 20, and Ethan Chaplin, 20. Shocked quiet town in Moscow and the country, sparking national manhunt for Koppelberger that culminated his arrest in Pennsylvania as well. The new photos have been released of the event. I just want to say this is a wicked act of terrorism. He's now been sentenced for Idaho murders. I just want to say I thought I'd bring this up because, I've just seen the photos and it's absolutely horrific. I think Zara McDermott done a documentary about this on BBC, on I think it's ITV or BBC. She's done a documentary about this event. And yeah, not a very nice event indeed. And I thought I'd throw that one in there as well. And also Angela Rayner gets another nomination for apparently, admitting that she's apparently had multiple properties and lied about her tax returns. And she's facing questions about whether she should even remain as the Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary and Minister. So, well, a bad week if you're a Labour MP, as more illegal immigration soars. And a migrant, I'm going to come on to that in a minute. A migrant has apparently stabbed a 14-year-old girl in Epping again. Zach, what's your assessments on Plank of the Week this week?
Interesting ones. I've got two in mind that that sort of range from different wings of the parties. My first plank of the week, unfortunately, is Angela Rayner, because it does look like her political future is in jeopardy. So I'll give you a little bit of background of why she's in a bit of trouble here. So she's been investigated by the ministerial watchdog, Minister for Standards, the minister. Well, not the ministers, but the standards advisor, who is Laurie Mackey, who's the sort of ethics advisor, ethics and standards advisor in government. Now she's been investigated by him because it is alleged that, and when she's admitted that she did not pay enough tax when she bought a flat in Hove in May. So just to give you an example, so I've got an example here. When you buy a property worth more than £125,000, you have to pay stamp duty. So the size of it depends on whether it's additional property. So if you buy two or more homes, and if it's a second home, it's a third home, you pay a lot more if you're selling your only house and buying another. It's the point this just tripped up the Deputy Prime Minister. She bought this apartment in Hove for £800,000 and paid £30,000 in stamp duty. That's how much you pay if it was a sole property. Angela said that she bought the flat. Her understanding and advice from lawyers what was the right amount, but she sought further advice from leading tax counsellors that she accepts she did not pay the appropriate stamp duty. She says, well, she's not only in a property at the time, she's since been told she would have treated the purchase if she was buying a second home because of the complicated rules linked to a trust in her son's name, which owns her family home in Ashton under Lyme. The trust was set up in 2020, marriage compensation paid to her son for a deeply personal distressing incident where he was a premature baby that left him with lifelong disabilities. She said she sold her stake in Ashton home to the trust in January this year and used the money as a deposit on the house Hove flat. The sale follows a divorce in 2023. Miss Rayner says allow her children to stay in the family as part of a nesting arrangement. Nesting is where children live full-time in one house, where the divorced parents take a turn to stay in the property rather than children between moving the two homes. Now, the problem is the problem for Angela Rayner that I have issues with. One, she's admitted that she's paid less tax than what she's supposed to be doing. If anything, that's also a criminal offence. If you do not pay the necessary tax but owned by HMRC, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. You'll probably get some penalty notices of anything from that as well. But yeah, and the other thing is as well, the perception, the fact that she's housing secretary, that she's not paying taxes on her housing is pretty bad look. Now, it's also, I think, the problem is as well is her spokesperson is also sort of suggested that there was stories lingering about this last week, which now appears to be the matter. And her spokesperson and people in her circle denied that she did anything wrong. It was all a smear campaign. And they were all picking on her and all that sort of thing as well. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is I know she's got a complicated family life as well, and there's kids involved. It's not good. But the fact is that it sounds like even if she did get wrong advice from her legal team, that at the end of the day, she has underpaid the amount of tax that she's owed on stamp duty and on that flat. And yeah, it's a very bad look. And the ethics advisor is investigating this, and it sounds like they're going to come back tomorrow. So Angela Rayner's future is on the line, really. She's not only the Deputy Prime Minister, she's the Housing Secretary, she's also the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Now, that means she probably has to leave 3 posts, actually, if you think about it. I know they're trying to, let's just say, defend this. But I know Keir Starmer's standing by her at the moment, but I don't know, really. I think the fact that she underpaid tax is a very bad look overall. and whether she's broken any of the ministerial code or it's up to the ethics advisor to really decide what her fate is, really, whether she did break any of the ministerial code. But yeah, not great at all. The second plank of the week I'm going to give as well. That's my first one. The second plank of the week I'm going to give is to Nigel Farage. Now, the reason why I'm giving him the plank of the week is because let me explain this in short form first before I sort of explain why. So, in short, I think Nigel Farage is a traitor. And the reason why I think he's a traitor is this week he's been in the United States. Again, the Parliament's returned, and guess where Nigel Farage is flown off to? United States of America. I mean, Clacton seems to be 10,000 miles away these days, but by me, another week, another miss of the Parliament by Nigel Farage doing other things, and in fact, very traitorous stuff. This week, yesterday actually, to be precise, Nigel Farage gave evidence to the U.S. House Foreign Relations Committee on UK free speech. Yes, UK free speech, where he basically compared the United Kingdom to North Korea, basically saying we have a free speech problem in our country, using examples like the Graham Litton one, where he got arrested in an airport for some tweets that he done as well, using the case of Lucy Letby as well to say that our free speech and we're turning to a communist nation. I have to say, I think Nigel Farage is a traitor to the United Kingdom. Not the fact that he has free speech beliefs, but the fact that he's pretty much going around to a foreign country and telling us how bad our free speech rules are, to then basically suggest that because of what his beliefs are, that they should be used to exploit trade and other sort of legislative authority and influence on the United Kingdom is very traitorous. I think it's disgrace that he's basically doing undercover lobbying to the US government for whether we should be, basically talked to about free speech. Well, number one, it's not the US's business. And number two, it's basically being like a foreign agent. I mean, if Nigel Farage has such a problem with free speech, maybe go and live in the United States, mate. Maybe resign your job, go and live in the United States, and you'll have all the free speech in the world. The second thing as well is he's directly compared us to North Korea. That is a disgrace. We are nothing like North Korea. If we were like North Korea and I was criticizing the government, I'll be stoned by now. I'll be sent to the labor prisons. I'll be have my head chopped off, and I'll be dead. I'll be do many hours of forced work. I will have our TV cut off. This thing will be censored. But no, none of it's happening right now. None of it's happening. They do that sort of thing in China and Russia where they cut the thing off. They do it in North Korea where it's pure propaganda. Like any dissent and you're killed. Like that is not the United Kingdom. And to just so is treasonous. If not, do you know what? If we really were like North Korea, maybe we should do what Nigel thinks North Korea does to describe. Maybe we should stone Nigel Farage. Maybe we should do 400 hours of forced labor on him because he's criticised our country. Let's give him if we really are North Korea, let's give Nigel Farage that treatment. Let's cut him off. Let's cut off his footage. Let's pretend he doesn't have an opinion. Let's stone him. Let's chop him off. Send him to 60 years in prison for criticism of us. No, we're not like that. You're just lucky we're not, because it's a disgraceful comparison, and that's why Nigel Farage is the second plank of the week for me for the traitorous way he's been treated in the United Kingdom this week.
That's our planks of the week. Let us know, guys, in the comments what you think your planks of the week are this week. Moving on now to a couple of news stories that I want to cover. The first one being a devastating crash in Lisbon involving a funicular railway that sadly derailed in the capital of Portugal. I just want to say, Portugal, obviously, funicular railways are old. I think there's one in Southend, I think there used to be one at the Cliff Railway. It used to be a Cliff Railway. It used to go right up to the top of a cliff in Southend-on-Sea. I don't know if that's still working. I remember going there as a kid and seeing it. Well, Portugal actually Lisbon had one right through the middle of the city centre. Sadly, though, it derailed. Very sad indeed. And from what we understand, the reports that have come in, the youngest victim is a 3-year-old boy, from what I understand. There is literally a palpable sense of shock on the faces of people gathering at the major site of major funicular crash in Portuguese capital. As they hear how a wreckage, a 3-year-old German boy was pulled. Actually, no, the boy was actually not the youngest victim. My apologies. The boy was actually pulled from the wreckage and survived. He's a lucky survivor of Wednesday's terrible crash, which killed 16 people, including his father. His mother is among 20 people injured, including many foreign nationals. It's still unclear what caused the crash. The capital's public transport operator, Caris, said all funiculars would be inspected. So that's the first news story. And also as well, the second news story which I'm going to cover, this is in the UK. Epping hotel resident guilty of assault of girl. A man who was arrested led to protests outside the Epping hotel has been found guilty of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a woman. Habash Kebatu from Ethiopia touched the girl and said he wanted to have a baby during incidents in Epping on the 7th and 8th of July. His arrest led to a wave of demonstration outside the Bell Hotel, where Kebatu was staying as an asylum seeker. A judge at Chelmsford Magistrates Court also found him guilty of sexually harassing the girl, inciting to engage in sexual activity and attempted sexual assault, and warned him to expect a prison sentence. Oh my God. What is going on with this? Unacceptable. Please get these people back deported immediately. I mean, it's a joke. Absolute joke. I'm not being rude. There's no wonder why there's protests going on across the country. We don't want these people in our hotels. And yes, it's just tragic. After what happened last year with obviously, the 3 young girls in Southport. It's just horrible. I don't know what to say. It needs to be an emergency debate in Parliament, I think, about this as soon as possible, because it's clear to me, this is the number one issue right now facing British politics. Illegal immigration. Immigration particularly is a number one issue British politics right now, which I think all parties need a direct plan on this. Zach, what's your assessment on these two news stories?
Yeah, let's start with the Lisbon one, and I think it's a very terrible event what's happened there. Really, really awful event what happened there as well. I must admit, I had to remind myself what a funicular was, and then I realised it was like fingers in the middle that they sort of go around in the middle of the row, middle of the thing as well. But yeah, it was operating. Hugh Tourist operating between Restaurant Square in downtown Lisbon and the Barreto Alto neighbourhood. Its journey is just 265 metres and takes 3 minutes, but operates up a steep hill with 2 carriages travelling in opposite directions. The top car reportedly hurled down the hill before leaving the tracks and crashed into building 30 metres from the bottom line. I mean, that's awful. That is... Oof. The pictures are nasty. And there's a lot of passengers on it, unfortunately. 16 killed, 23 injured as well. There was some foreign nationals on it. 5 were Portuguese, 2 Korean, and 1 Swift. The other 8 unknown at the moment. But yeah, a very horrific event. What's happened there as well. 3 days in mourning. I mean, that is a horrific accident. It should not, something like that should not be happening. But it was a very awful event, especially crashing into buildings. Coming off high of a mountain, sort of a steep area as well. That's the worst possible thing could happen. It's really dangerous. And yeah, it's just a horrific event with what happened there as well. On the let's go back to the one in Epping, and yeah, so we know obviously this is what caused the protest that started all this off, but we know that person, Hayes Kabatu, was the person that kicked it off. So he was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault to a 14-year-old girl. He's been found guilty of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a woman. Said she touched the girl and said he wanted to have a baby with her during incidents in Epping on the 7th of July. And that was what's led to the demonstration at the Bell Hotel, because he was an asylum seeker as well. And the judge also found him guilty of harassing the girl, incited her to engage in sexual activity and attempted sexual assault, and warned him to expect a prison sentence. I don't think he needs just a prison sentence, in my view. I think he needs deportation to wherever he has come from, because he's come to this country as an asylum seeker, and he's caused criminal offences, and I think he's abused his position as an asylum seeker. He's been living about for a week before the arrest, having travelled through Sudan, Libya, Italy, and France to get to the UK. He insisted during his 3-day trial, not a wild animal. I can't do these things. This is anti-Christian. These are just children, innocent children. But you've just done what you've done. He told one witness told the court, Tia Kabatu, telling the girl to come back to Africa to be a good wife. I want one baby from you and one baby from your friend. I mean, that is disgraceful. I think he should be deported, quite frankly. And not only should be, not only should be prison, he should be deported. I said this before. I'm happy to say again, he should be out of this country. The reason why this is kicked off, and I think now we know that the people of Epping have a right to be concerned about sexual assault over these people as well, especially on children, underage children. So it's completely unacceptable. So yeah, disgraceful stuff, really.
Well, Parliament, get this in your diaries very soon. Please get this raised in Parliament. Not just this, but the whole thing needs to be, they need to debate this, honestly. What the new, ECHR, leave, stay, remain. I mean, because Zach, as well, this week, we've had, obviously, a Reform UK councillor got arrested, and I think it's been released the other day. From what I understand, a Reform UK councillor in Epping actually got arrested and got released after being in prison for 24 hours after holding a Union flag up over the council. But I mean, Zach, there's even a debate now whether we should even hold the Union Jack up. I mean, this is getting really interesting, because this week alone, people have been saying, if you hold the left Union Jack up, you could be, quote, a racist.
No, I mean, well, there's several ways to think about this. So there's just waving the Union Jack and putting it up, understandable, and that's good. I love to see a flag up on top of the country. I think it's brilliant that people wave the Union Jack and our English flag and the St. George's flag. I mean, it's great. But then again, we've also seen it abused in ways like, using it to throw racist abuse at especially black people, especially Muslims, and all that sort of thing as well. Tell them to go home and saying, this is our country, we'll take him back and wait. I have no problem with that. But on the debate of the ECHR, I think reform is required, but the last thing you would want to do is leave it completely, because then it ruins our credibility. It puts us in the same way as Russia and Belarus in terms of European European countries. Actually, it breaks the Good Friday Agreement, And actually, it probably won't stop illegal immigration at all when you think about it. It will still happen. With it or without it, it makes no difference. It's just that the ECHR just goes beyond, just immigration. It's human rights, it's free speech, and everything like that as well. And look, at the end of the day, I think it'll be incredible. It'll be the second dumbest thing since Brexit. It'll just be even more dumber than, but just as dumb as Brexit, to do that sort of thing as well. By the way, if you're wondering as well, I sort of mentioned this as well. We had the when I was looking for the things to look for, things to keep an eye out on the week ahead as well. I mentioned the court case between the council and the Home Office, and now the Home Office won that case in Epping, by the way. The Court of Appeal overturns the original decision by the judge to grant the temporary injunction on the Bell Hotel in Epping. The reason why the Court of Appeals judge overturned it, and it was a unanimous decision, by the way, was that the judge didn't follow the correct processes. Basically, they're saying that they used too much influence of outside protests as well, and that there was not consideration to the fact that obviously there is a full hearing on this in October. So look, judges, at least the judiciary is working in a good way here, whether you think about the opinions or not, because one judge is saying one thing, the other judges are testing that thing that the judge has done and basically saying no, they think they did it wrong, we'll overturn it. And and we're going to a full court anyway in October. So the match is not over yet for the Bell Hotel. And I think it's worth we hear full arguments on this rather than just temporary injunctions. I think it's worth actually doing a whole case about this and actually hearing the thing out and then finding a permanent solution to this by the court. So I think it's necessary as well that we hear that in October for the good of the community and to see where the arguments go by.
Well, that's all the latest news there on the world of politics and sport. Politics for the moment. Now we've moved on to the world of sport now. Lots of sports news to talk about. I'm going to start off with the news from the football. Now, obviously, we had the last Premier League weekend for about a week. We have an international weekend this weekend. England, I believe, are taking on a couple of international friendlies. But, of course, we had the transfer deadline day on, I think it was Monday, on the 1st of September, which saw lots of deals, including Alexander Isak finally moving from Newcastle to Liverpool. A long-awaited move for a lot of Liverpool fans. I'm sure they're all going to be happy. For Newcastle fans, though, a lot of them very upset the way Isak left the club to join Liverpool. And also today we've learned that Daniel Levy has stood down as Tottenham's non-executive, should I say, Tottenham's main director, should I say, or chairman now. A new one has been employed in his position. So Daniel Levy has left Tottenham as well. He's resigned today. Obviously known for a huge rotation of managers over his time at the club. He will leave his executive chairman role after 24 years in charge. Now, obviously, we'll review last week's game week. This was match day 2, I believe. Or match day 3, sorry. Match day 3. Wow, God, how quick has it gone already, man? So, Chelsea were 2-0 winners at Fulham. Everton beat Wolves 3-2. Bournemouth with a surprising 1-0 win over Tottenham. Manchester United won after a late goal against Burnley, who put up a good fight, I think, in that match, to be honest. Sunderland beat Brentford 2-1. Another surprising result for Sunderland, beating Brentford. Brentford are in a lot of trouble this season after selling lots of their best players. Leeds and Newcastle was a stalemate or goalless draw. Brighton shocking Manchester City 2-1. Wow, Brighton beating Manchester City. West Ham finally get to winning ways this season with a 3-0 win against Nottingham Forest. Who would have thought that, given earlier in the week, many people were predicting the other way round. Liverpool won with a late goal to beat Arsenal, and Crystal Palace beat Aston Villa 3-0. Man, some pretty big results in the Premier League over the last week as well. Zach, what was your assessment on match day 3?
Yeah, there was a few surprise. I think it was quite big surprises in match day 3, as well. In terms of the results, I think there was quite a lot that was happening in terms of surprising results as well. Let's go over some of the other news actually first before we get to match day 3. The big news tonight, obviously, is Daniel Levy resigning from Tottenham Hotspur as the chairman, the executive chairman of the club. I mean, that's a huge shock, if you ask me. But the sources I think I'm reading tonight suggest that actually he was planning this out for a little while, has taken giving it to other staff within the ownership instead to run the club. So it's the same ownership apparently, but different people in that ownership run it instead and hand it over. I think Tottenham fans will probably be incredibly pleased of the result, and I think it's sort of an example now to fans of West Ham and a few other clubs that could be quite bitter about their ownership at the moment. Sometimes not pressure, but chairmen can resign after all, and they can feel a bit, they can feel a bit relieved about a change happening in a way that they wanted to. It's a big deal actually seeing him resign. But let's go through the results of match day 4. 3, should I say? Match day 4 is next, and not this weekend, but next weekend. It's international break. But let's go through match day 3. Chelsea 2-0. There was a very controversial VR decision on that one, by the way. A very awful penalty sort of decision that happened because it was accidental. The referee said it was careless. Well, it's not even careless. I think it was accidental, but the fact that it was a penalty even was disgraceful. And actually, I remember the VAR, I think it was Michael Salisbury, got dropped for the Liverpool-Arsenal match because of the apology, and it got replaced. But yeah, Chelsea 2-0. I mean, they were the better team, but that VAR decision was diabolical in many ways. Everton 3-2 victory, managed to survive it out over Wolves, who are really struggling at the moment, I have to say, this season. The first surprise result of the weekend was Bournemouth beating Tottenham Hotspur 1-0. I mean, Tottenham looking good at the start of the season, but now they've suffered their first block and now in the Spursy way of things at the moment. Manchester United 3, Burnley 2. United, well, very lucky, very, very lucky. Only one thanks to a penalty towards the end. And that penalty was taken by Bruno Fernandes. Very lucky that they didn't just draw that. Would have been another controversial moment for them if they did draw. Sunderland, really, really on the roll, actually. There's 2 wins from 3, 6 points. 2-1 against Brentford. Leeds United Newcastle was a boring draw. Brighton, another really surprising result here. 2-1. Against Manchester City, very surprising result, I have to say. But Brighton did really, really well towards the end of the match. West Ham finally got a well-needed win against Nottingham Forest, who weren't that great at all. 3-0 win for West Ham. Liverpool, Arsenal, the first really big match of the season. In terms of that one, Liverpool 1, Arsenal 0, and then the Sunday evening game, Aston Villa beaten quite happily by Crystal Palace 3-0 as well. So we're off all week. We'll get onto I'll get onto the matches next week, but because instead we're going to talk about the European qualifiers and international friendlies that are happening this weekend as well, I should say, or the World Cup qualifiers that are going on, because as I sort of mentioned this weekend, it is World Cup, it is international weekend, so there are teams involved. I'll let you know what's sort of going on at the moment in terms of the results, because Wales have played today at the moment, And let me just tell you who's actually played at the moment. So, get up on here actually as well. There we go. It's having its moment, I think, today. As well, but in terms of what's going on, Wales have played Kazakhstan today. They've won 1-0 actually, as well. Northern Ireland, I think they're all sort of playing at the moment. In terms of what's going on. So, Northern Ireland won against Luxembourg as well in their they won against their qualifier today as well. Big, important win for them as well. A really important win in that sense. The Republic of Ireland are playing on Saturday and Tuesday against Hungary and Armenia as well. England are also in action this weekend. They're facing Andorra and Serbia in their World Cup qualifiers as well. And so, that's really important for them. They've been a bit lackluster, I have to say, as well, in terms of their performances. So we need to see a bit more out of them as well. But Northern Ireland 3-1 victory against Luxembourg. Wales beating Kazakhstan away as well. At the moment, our results include Slovakia beat Germany today, with a very surprising result. Netherlands and Poland is a draw. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we've got the Republic of Ireland are involved in their match as well. Actually, it's on Saturday, I should say. Apologies. But just to give you an example, Scotland take on Denmark tomorrow as well. Scotland, it's actually the start of their World Cup qualifier campaign, actually, would you believe it or not, because they've been involved in the Nation League playoff. Weren't exactly brilliant result for them in some ways as well. So Scotland tomorrow, and then England take on Andorra as well on Saturday. Then we get to match day 6 actually, which we'll see in terms of our side. Northern Ireland take on Germany. That's a big tie. Belarus, Scotland away at Belarus. Israel take on Italy. France, Iceland, Republic of Ireland will take on Armenia. Serbia, England will be on against Serbia. Where's Wales on this list as well? I must have missed Wales. Unless they're in a friendly. They might be in a friendly for match day 6. Let me just check as well. They are in a friendly actually. They'll be taking on Canada for their friendly on Tuesday as well. So there's a lot of European football, international football, but going on this weekend as well instead of the Premier League.
So that's all the football news. Now it's time for Formula One. How exciting motorsport is certainly one of my favourite parts of the show. Yes, we had the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, and actually not a bad race for an F1 by F1 standards. There was about 2 or 3 safety cars. There was 2 Ferraris crashing out and retiring. Oscar Piastri won, and he is now, it went from about 8 points to now over 30 points clear, because sadly, Lando Norris, retired from the Dutch Grand Prix in the closing stages due to a mechanical failure on his McLaren. Who thought McLaren get mechanical failures? They've been really reliable. Well, could I just say the straw broke the camel's back for Lando Norris? Retirement in at Zandvoort there, and this comes as obviously Ferrari have got their home race this weekend at Monza, donning new blue outfits as well. But the winner of the last race was Oscar Piastri for McLaren. I think it was his 7th or 8th win in the season. He's on a roll this season, isn't he, Piastri? He has done really well in that car. I think he's only in his 3rd season of F1. And Max Verstappen, the home hero. I believe he was born in Belgium or somewhere, but he's obviously from Holland as well. He finished 2nd place, his best result for a while, actually, as well for Max. Obviously, he didn't have that great result in Hungary. Isaac Hadjar, though, driver of the weekend. He got a top 10 in qualifying, put it grid in the qualifying session. beating George Russell in a Mercedes and beats George Russell in the race to finish P3. I think it's the 7th podium for that Faenza-based team, now known as Racing Bulls. Well done to them. Mega drive. And Hadjar, has impressed actually this year in his rookie season. Same can't be said with another rookie I'm going to come on to in a minute. And a bit more of a topsy-turvy weekend, should I say. George Russell 4th for Mercedes. Alexander Albon 5th from 15th on the grid in the Williams. I have to say, Albon done really well in that race. An impressive drive from him in the Williams there as well. Oliver Bearman, I believe, scores his first point since Bahrain with a 6th place finish. So actually 8 points, has getting double points. I think the first one since Austria. Ocon got some points in 10th. Then we had the 2 Aston Martins, Lance Stroll, who could have easily have been a plank of the week hadn't he crashed out in all of them sessions at the weekend. Managed to recover to 7th place as well. I believe Bearman might have been a pit lane start, I think, from what I remember. I think one driver did start from pits.
He was, I think it was at the rear of the field, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. So we had that. We had Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso. I believe they got caught out by a safety car, did Alonso, Tsunoda, Ocon. And then we had Colapinto with, I think, his best result since he's come back. So is the pressure weaning at Alpine for him? Is it getting a little bit more easier for Colapinto? Not sure yet. Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz had a collision, 12th and 13th. Williams have just launched an appeal into the penalty for Carlos Sainz last week, which I have to say, I think they rightly deserved to launch the appeal into the penalty. Because I thought the penalty was ridiculous. I think it is absolutely pathetic. Why did Sainz get penalised? I mean, Lawson oversteered his car into Sainz, and Sainz gets penalised. What is the FIA? Honestly, the FIA this season, the last few years, the FIA have just been shocking. This is one of the biggest mistakes they've done for a long time. They penalise a driver who technically didn't even cause the collision. I'm not saying that Lawson just made a mistake. It was unfortunate. He had the oversteer. But, oh dear. It's an oversteer, but it was an oversteer that got him. He got a 10-second penalty as well. Bloody hell, it was a very harsh penalty. Hulkenberg and Bortoletto, 14th and 15th. Not a great weekend for Kick Sauber. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, meanwhile, though, we're coming on to him now, has a pretty, runs up in the top 10, only for them to collect Charles Leclerc at Hugenholtzbot, the turn 3 bank corner, and effectively, basically collide with Leclerc, basically take the Ferrari out of the race. Leclerc actually pulled a great move off on George Russell during that race, which some people said, he should have got a penalty for, but actually Russell didn't leave him a lot of space down into that chicane. But fair play to Leclerc, though, but unfortunately gets taken up by Antonelli. Is it a rookie error from Antonelli? He's done it twice this season. He's done it to Max Verstappen in Austria. I think it was a completely stupid move. I thought it was very desperate. And I'm going to go as far to say this. I mean, Jacques Villeneuve made this comment. I think Antonelli has been a very big disappointment this year. I was expecting more from him. And I believe he needs to get his act together in the remaining races. He then got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, a 10-second penalty for the collision, probably more penalty points on his licence. Unacceptable. He needs to do better than that. I mean, he might only be 18 years old, but he needs to do better than that, especially in F1. It's a sport that's one of the toughest sports in the world, for sure. Then, as I mentioned, the retirements for Norris, very sadly with mechanical failure, running right towards the front of the field. And then obviously Leclerc obviously had that collision on lap 52. Lap 22, Lewis Hamilton crashed down at turn 3 and has a 5-place grid penalty for the Italian Grand Prix this weekend after ignoring yellow flags during the Dutch Grand Prix as well. Even that penalty was a bit harsh as well. And I believe there also Alex Dunn will be sitting in, I believe, for one of the McLaren drivers doing free practice this weekend for Monza as well. Lando, very, boisterous, and very, punching his guns up this weekend in an interview ahead of the race. So, yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. Zach, what do you make of the chaotic Dutch Grand Prix?
I mean, chaotic was an understatement. First of all, I mean, there were some shocks overall. I mean, Lando Norris has to be the most unlucky driver of the weekend because he was going to get, I think he was going to get second, but blimey, that engine, there was went pop. Watching the oil thing went going pop, was very surprising. I think it's just speaking of a shame, big shame what happened. He doesn't deserve it. It's just incredibly unlucky overall as well. And I have to say that was, I think that was very harsh on him. Bless his heart. Let's just go through the rest of it because I think I mean, Oscar winning. That's fair enough. I mean, he drove an absolute brilliant race. I mean, got the right qualifying as well, which, I mean, Lando was faster throughout the weekend, but Oscar Piastri qualifying what mattered, and he got it as well. Driver of the day, I mean, Hadjar, easily. I mean, take no doubt, fourth position qualifying, just brilliant. Then he stuck with fourth position, then just like that, and then the Norris retirement happened, and he was in the podium. I mean, I would find it a demotion if he went to Red Bull because actually, you know what the second seat is like there as well. Yeah, Max Verstappen could be his teammate next year. Who knows? But I think it'd be demotion for him because you know how the way the curse the Red Bull's second car is. Just don't keep it at RB. You'll be faster in that car than the bloody Red Bull. I have to say. I mean. Don't put up Red Bull. No one. There should be a one-car team. Red Bull. Well, let's just say that. George Russell fourth, decent result. Also decent result for Alex Albon. Well done, fifth position. Overall, I know it was a bit of an unfortunate one for Kimi Antonelli. He did retire. I mean, why does it say he's sixth position on here? I don't know why. That's a bit of a weird one. In terms of. So he didn't finish sixth position. He finished downwards, anything like that as well. He actually finished 16th, actually. I don't know why it says it's sixth. That might have been confused. Google might have put the sixth one in the 16th. But actually, it was Behrman in sixth overall. Well done to him. That was fantastic. A great point. And the fact that he did it from the pit lane as well was on the back of the grid. Pretty damn good. Overall, so really a fabulous result. Lance Stroll, decent result, seventh as well. So does Alonso. Suzuki Tsunoda getting some points finish, excellent overall. Ocon 10th position, fantastic, and then Colapinto just outside the top points as well. Lewis Hamilton crashed, very silly mistake on him. Unlucky for Leclerc. I mean, just got caught a victim of Anthony's actions. I mean, we could cry for Norris. I really could on that one as well. The Carlos Sainz thing, I think the penalty was shocking. I mean, 10 seconds for a minor bit of contact. We've seen worse being given 10 seconds than that. And I just think that some of them have been equivalent. I think a 5 second, if you want to say 5 second penalty, that could have been fine, but 10 seconds is a ridiculous penalty for Carlos Sainz as well. The Williams have launched a right to review of the incident. I think that it's exactly right they do that sort of thing as well, because I think, quite frankly, it wasn't really fair. I think at worst it should be a 5 second penalty for Sainz as well. But yeah, this weekend, Italy, Monza's home weight. Lewis Hamilton goes into that, by the way, with a 5-place grid penalty because on the reconnaissance laps to the grid. There was a yellow flag that was waving. He failed to slow down in that we have flag zone sufficiently enough. Now, it was originally going to be a 10-place grid penalty, but he did make an attempt to slow down. So the stewards, rather than giving 10, gave him 5 and mitigating factor. But very silly mistake from Lewis Hamilton on that part, and just silly mistakes overall in the race that ended up hitting him in the wall. It's Ferrari's home race, so we could probably get the curse of everything that's happened this weekend. But this is a completely different circuit to Holland. It's also the last race of the European season as well. This is a low downforce circuit. It's going to be the engine throttle is going to be big. There's some, it's going to be a matter of speed. Where you are in draft and qualifying, overtaking is possible. To be fair, but you're going to have to. There is some overtaking possible. but you have to find several corners for it. So yeah, Italy this weekend. The Tifosi will be out. Whether they'll be getting any luck from Ferrari, will be yet to see, we'll have to see.
Do you know Ferrari were the last ever winners of this race last year with Charles Leclerc, what benefiting a one stop? So the one stop can be done. McLaren did do a 2, but I'm expecting this weekend to be a 1-2 stop race. And it is the fastest circuit. It's known as the Temple Speed Monza. You know, it's one of the most iconic racing circuits in the world. You know, it's the fastest track we go to all season for Formula One. We'll be looking at speeds of well over 200 miles an hour here, probably 210 plus with DRS active. So, yes, this circuit is a fast one. And, you know, Daniel Ricciardo took his final Grand Prix win here back in a McLaren. I think it was in 2022. Actually, 2021, I think it was, when the year Hamilton and Verstappen. I mean, yeah, 4 years ago, Daniel Ricciardo's last ever Grand Prix win in the McLaren. It was a 1-2 that day. I mean, how does, you know, Lando Norris second? Can Lando Norris go one better and actually win it this weekend? I am going to be very interested to see how they get on. So that's all of the latest news there from Formula One. Moving on now to NASCAR. Darlington, the first round of 16. We're now into playoffs. Playoff contention now. Well, obviously, it's 16 drivers racing for a championship. It was won, the Cookout Southern 500, by Chase Briscoe. Tyler Reddick was second. AJ Allmendinger third. Nemechek fourth. Sorry, Allmendinger fifth. Sorry, Bubba Wallace sixth. Denny Hamlin seventh. Kyle Busch eighth. Carl Snowcover ninth. Chris Buescher 10th. I was reading some of the comments about this NASCAR race. Some people saying it's one of the most boring Darlington races for a long time. That's what I was reading in the comments. Zach, I'm going to get your assessment on this. What did you make to the Darlington NASCAR race?
Yeah, it wasn't the best one, shall I say, overall. It was a bit lackluster in nature. I've seen better, let's just say that as well. But yeah, congratulations to Chase Briscoe, the first playoff driver to win in the playoffs this season. That is a really critical result because that means that he's through to the next round of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs overall. So well done to him. Very significant victory overall, a really important one as well to win that race. He's safe in the knowledge known that he can breathe a little bit and go into the next round overall. But Tyler Reddick was close behind in second. And we got Eric Jones in third position. John Hunter Nemechek fourth. AJ Allmendinger fifth. Bob Eve Boy through it. Okay, I get it. Wallace sixth. Hamlin seventh. Busch eighth. Chase Hovercar. Carlson Hovercar ninth. Chris Buescher in 10th. Yeah, it wasn't exciting overall. But what it means for the playoff standings is that Briscoe's through. Denny Hamlin was the second best driver in the playoff overall in terms of points. So he's plus 43 at the moment. But yet to go through the cutoff at the moment. Joe Logano, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman, and Josh Berry are currently under the cutoff zone, which means if they don't improve their results or don't get a victory, they are at risk of being eliminated from the round of 16 overall. Vane and Givers is also very close to the cutoff line as well, I should say. A victory for any of those four in the cutoff line, and it means that they're safe, they'll be safe. But Briscoe is the first one through, and that's the main thing we have to say overall. The next race, as mentioned, is at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, which is in Illinois, overall as well. AKA the Gateway Motorsport Park as well. 1 mile oval. It's 1 mile oval, isn't it? No, yeah, it's 1.2 mile oval. Overall, how it's raced in IndyCar, NASCAR Xfinity Series is right here this weekend as well. The Truck Series has a week off, I should mention, but yeah, it's that is this Sunday at 8:00 UK time. The round 2 of the round of 16 in the Cup Series playoffs as well.
And straight over to IndyCar now as well, because they completed their season at the Borgata Music City Grand Prix in Nashville on the big super speedway. And Joseph Newgarden rounded out a pretty dismal year with a win at his home track. A great win for Team Penske, actually, after a pretty difficult year for the team, particularly from Newgarden's side of the garage. And yes, finishing ahead of Alex Palou, who had a great battle throughout that race with several drivers. We had Scott McLaughlin finishing third, and Kyffin Simpson. Wow, didn't it highlights a will-to-will racing between the two of them? Wow, I mean, that was insane. They were will-to-will for many laps. Just in general, the racing at the final IndyCar race was amazing. I think some people say it's one of the best races of the season. We saw loads of action in that race. Daly was 5th, Kirkwood 6th, Rosenquist 7th, Ferrucci 8th, Ilott 9th, and Alexander Rossi 10th, completing the top 10 in the Ed Carpenter racing car. Unfortunately, his teammate and previous race winner, Christian Rasmussen, after about one lap, unfortunately lost the car under brake, lost the car going through a corner and crashed into the wall. A very embarrassing way to end the season after basically winning the race before. I mean, that was a 0-0 all in about a week or two. I mean, wow. If I can ever think of that was going to happen. As well, we had retirements. Louis Foster also had I think he had a collision as well. Or he got involved with David Malukas. Which I have to say, first of all, I think he was being lapped by Malukas. Some people put in the blame. I mean, Louis Foster, what was he doing? People blaming Malukas for it. Well, put it this way, Louis Foster was being lapped. Yeah, you can unlap yourself, but it reminds me of an incident that happened years ago between Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon at Brazil, where Ocon attempts to unlap himself and effectively takes out, theoretically, the race leading him. I think it was 2018 or something. I do remember that collision very well. And it was the same with Foster and Malukas in that race. Zach, what do you make to the final IndyCar race of the season?
Yeah, I saw clips of it actually, and I thought it was pretty exciting from the bits I saw. I mean, the race finish was excellent. And again, Alex Palou was so close to winning, and yet just a little bit behind necessary as well. I mean, Newgarden, good job overall holding off Palou just in the nip to make sure. And I mean, the battles are brilliant. I mean, they were very, very good. It was so close between Newgarden, Palou, McLaughlin, Kyffin Simpson. Great overall, just incredibly fun stuff overall. Then you said you got Daly in 5th position as well. A bit more spread out of bombs between Daly, Kirkwood, Rosenquist, Ferrucci, and Callum Ilott got a top 10. Well done to him as well. As you mentioned as well, Rasmussen, Malukas, Rasmussen not even getting that far in the race. Malukas getting involved in an accident. Christian Lundgaard had a mechanical incident. Ward had a contact. Abel as well. Poor result. Then Rahal. Will Power, who I should mention as well, is moving to Andretti next season as well. He's moving from Penske to Andretti. And I should mention as well, Colton Herta in 11th position. That was his last race of Andretti because he's actually moving to Cadillac as the F1 test driver for next season. And potentially, if the rumours are correct, a drive in F2 as well. That fit the description, the fact that he's leaving IndyCar and going over to F1 to be Cadillac's test driver. It would free him up for an F1, like, as I mentioned, an F2 slot somewhere. We don't know where. But yeah, that could be a way to get into F1, eventually get a seat. And yeah, it's a interesting move for him, I have to say as well. I mean, he has been struggling a little bit this season, but if he's going to revive his confidence and get back to winning ways, a move to eventually get an F2 drive could be one way of doing that.
Yeah, that's all the news there for that. Now it's time quickly to talk about this week's musical artist. This week, I thought I'd do a little brief history on the band. Linkin Park are going to be this week's artists. I really want to talk about Linkin Park whilst we're here. Now, Linkin Park are a very unique band because they are actually an American rock band. They were formed in California in 1996. However, though, you might have noticed that one member of the band is no longer there. Chester Bennington sadly died back in 2017 after, I believe, having suicide by hanging. They now have a new lead singer and a new drummer in Emily Armstrong, who is the new lead singer of the group. But in general, guys, this group are a very unique group. You might actually think this is like a heavy metal or rock / hip hop group, because there are elements of hip hop in their music. They formed in 1996. It consisted of Mike Shinoda, who was the band's vocalist, obviously rapper as well, rhythm guitarist, keyboardist, lead guitarist Brad Delson, DJ Turnless Joe Hahn, bassist Dave Farrell, vocalist Emily Armstrong, and drummer Colin Britton. The lineups for the band's first ever 7 studio albums include lead vocalist Chester Bennington and Rob Borden. After Bennington's death in July 2017, the band enjoyed a 7-year hiatus, after which Borden chose to depart from the band. In September 2024, Linkin Park's reformation was announced with addition of Armstrong. Britain, categorised as mainly alternative rock and new metal, Linkin Park's early music spawned the fusion of heavy metal and hip hop, with a later featuring more electronica and pop elements. They also rose to fame with their debut studio album Hybrid Theory in 2000, which certified diamond by the Recording Industry of High Associated of America, released during the peak of the new metal scene. The album's heavy airplay and MTV-led singles One Step Closer was one of their first ever singles, Crawling and In the End, all charting high in the US mainstream rock charts. It also led to Meteora. It also led to number 2 spot nominations, Billboard Hot 100. They then had their second album, Midnight, a Meteora, in 2003. And then their explored more experimental sounds with Minutes to Midnight in 2007. By the end of the decade, Linkin Park was one of the most successful and popular rock acts as well. They also had the latest album, From Zero, returned to more of their original sound, incorporating elements, musical elements in their previous records. It's very interesting because, you know, a lot of musicians don't combine heavy metal or combine rock with, say, hip hop and stuff. Like, you see the modern scene, like, you might see someone like Drake or Jay-Z or, you know, will.i.am, for example, or, you know, you might see like Dizzy Rascals. You might see some like big name rappers, like the hip hop scene. It's very, very big. Hip hop is actually one of the most popular genres in America, like club raving music. And the fact that rock music can get basically sampled with hip hop, it's very, very unique. Now, Zach, what is your assessment on Linkin Park? Because this is a group that I think are quite underrated actually here in the UK, but a lot of rock fans and particularly some hip hop fans might have closer links to.
Yeah, and they're probably one of the biggest rock bands in the world in terms of, like in America certainly as well. You sort of, you know, their glory days are sort of over. Now they don't have Chester, and then they've got Emily Williams instead. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, they aren't a good band overall. I mean, they still are.
We seem to have lost Zach there for the minute. I do apologise to all the listeners out there. Whilst we're here.
I still really enjoy their content. There was a period when they had Chester with what they do, and yeah, I'm being a big fan with some of their songs. I mean, I'll give you some of my examples of some really good songs that they released. You got Numb, In the End, What I've Done, and look, just so much. And I said Mum and Core as well. Yeah, and obviously that was the Chester era as well. Now they're under obviously Emily Williams. Emily Armstrong. So I keep saying Emily Williams. It's Emily Armstrong and Colin Britton are now involved, and they're going back to the more rockier sounds of the past as well. But yeah, throughout the years they've been thoroughly enjoyable. And they still are. So yeah, they're a really good band.
Do you think, Zach, more rock groups should incorporate like rapping into their songs, particularly like with hip hop and grime artists maybe coming on board?
I mean, they have sort of over the years, you know, some rock bands do it, but you know, if the model then And Mike Schroeder, who was part of that, I think I knew how to do that sort of thing really well. So yeah, and it worked. It worked really good. The sound that they use it helped that as well. So it was a really good example of Linkin Park being partly successful.
Well, we'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to play for you one of the songs. This is on their 2007 Minutes to Midnight album. This was actually the theme song for the Transformers film back then as well. This song is titled What I've Done, one of Linkin Park's most famous songs, actually. One of my favourites. We'll see you in a few minutes. There's no alibi, 'cause I've drawn regret from the truth of 1,000 lies. So let mercy come and wash away what I've done. It's myself to cross out what I need. What you thought of me, while I clean this slate with the hands of uncertainty. So let mercy come and wash away what I've done. I face myself to cross out what I need. Face myself and let go I start again, and whatever pain may come, today this ends. I'm forgetting what myself to cross out what I need. Face myself and let go of That is Linkin Park there with the song What I Have Done here on the Tonight Show podcast from the 2007 film Transformers as well. Now, what do you make that song? It's a very powerful record.
Yeah, and a song I remember very well, and I've heard many times before. It's very much a very good song.
Classic, one of Linkin Park's greatest hits, I have to say. It's certainly a song that's helped many people, with dealing with anxiety. I mean, Chester sadly died. He had a lot of issues with alcohol and drugs over the years, but, and a lot of depression. But trust me, this is what music can display emotion, and, writing songwriting and stuff can really help let them emotions out. So that was the song there, What I've Done, from the 2007 album Minutes to Midnight, and also the Transformers movie as well. Moving on now to conversation straight. I do apologise, we actually ran over a bit over time tonight. But I want to talk to you guys tonight about chocolate. Yes. A lot of people might be naughty. They might have a chocolate bar. They might end up watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Oh, Wonka bar. There's got some chocolate bar with a golden ticket in it. Well, I've got for you guys proof of some of the most popular chocolate bars in the UK. So I'm going to go over today the most popular chocolate bars in the UK because I think there is some really, really interesting discussions with this. You know, everyone has their own preferences when it comes to chocolate. Everyone likes a Cadbury. Some people like different bars, and you know, it is interesting to see this. So, this is according to what I've read up. These are some of the most 10 popular chocolate bars and candies that I can find. There are plenty of polls you can go on and, you know, view chocolate in general. And I'm going to go over the UK's most. We'll do the UK's favourite ones, shall we? I think that's the first thing we're going to do because there's so many chocolate bars. I know what ones I wanted to put on this list. For sure, I do. I'm not saying I do it. I do eat a lot of chocolate. I'm quite naughty with that in a way. If you see it go down the aisle, right. So the first one on the list is the Cadbury's Dairy Milk Bar. Recently had upgrades, including a 200-year Dairy Milk Bar. It's seen volumes drop by 1.7. The market leader says it's been underperforming against Cadbury due to lower distribution and promotional activities. Then we have Galaxy. Galaxy is down in volumes 1.8. Lendor has shed 3.2%, and Cadbury's 12 down to 7.2, all impacted by the combination decrease and growing confidence of retailers. Third is Maltesers, 0.2% up. Celebrations, significant price have driven shoppers to opt for own label to manage budgets, even when promotion brands struggle below as well. Then we have Cadbury's 12. That was down 7.2%, 10.7 million. M&M's, that was rising cocoa bean price will impact the volume sale of chocolate. It's unknown whether October's harvest will turn out. Suppliers are hoping to push prices down as well. Then we have Lindor in 7th. That's been down 3.2%. Cadbury's Whisker, trying a tricky balancing act, say Speller, and it continues to be a challenge for manufacturers to find the top price that mitigates. Then we have Kinder at 7.9% and 1.8%. It's not all bad brands such as Kinder, Cadbury's, Whispers and Maltese, a bucket load trend as well. But Ferrero Rocher are down to 10th place in that poll. And also, according to this, the UK's most popular chocolate bar of last year got revealed. According to a poll on here, it turned out Mars Bar actually topped the poll for the UK, with other brands, including Rolo, coming in 18th place, and Cadbury's actually, well, funny enough, Curly Wurly was 11th. Quality Street was up there as well. But looking at that, it looked like Cadbury's, well, they do make some of these bars. The highest Cadbury's bar was actually a Boost bar, number 2. Zach, I wanted to get your official review on this. What do you make to the trend of UK chocolate and chocolate around the world? Because in general, everyone really seems to have different varying tastes when it comes to chocolate flavours and chocolate taste buds as well.
Oh, they certainly do. That's anything. That's a good thing. That there's so much variety of opinion on this as well. Mars Bar up there, interesting. I have to say, good one. Yeah, and that's a really good one. I think the top one up there on there is a good one. Quality Street third. I think it's pretty decent as well. I have to say, one of the things I like on there, I don't know if it's on there or not, I can't see it. I like a Whisper. That's very nice. I think it's delicious actually. And as well, Quality Street third position is interesting. Interesting enough. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting order, but it just proves on there's a lot of variety that people like on there.
There is a lot. You can see Smarties at 8, Yorkie at 9, Bounty 10, Curly Whirly 11, Aero at 14, Lion Bar 17, Double Decker 16. That's like quite a crunchy bar, that one. It's quite thick, actually. Kit Kat 6th, Munchies 4th, Fudge 5th. That was according to the Lift, Safe and Online Marketing Surgery that done survey for this. They also revealed that a Cadbury's Fan Easter chocolate had been discontinued as well. So, well, it depends what your taste buds are. And comment down below, guys, in the comments what your favourite chocolate bars are. Because I do like Cadbury's. I do like one other brand that I really like, particularly at Christmas, is Terry's with their chocolate oranges. Oh, I mean, you can't beat a Terry's chocolate orange at Christmas. Oh, I mean, they are always. I literally always get one for one of my cousins. One of my cousins is, if you're watching this tonight, I literally see a chocolate orange like a Terry's, it's like a mint flavour. Oh, the Terry's at Christmas, just great to eat, great to enjoy after a long day at work. But let me know, guys, in the comments what you made to it. But that brings us, unfortunately, to the end now of the Tonight Show podcast. It's been a long show tonight, and yes. Zach, in terms of the biggest news over the next week or so, what do you think Parliament is expecting over the next week?
Actually, I don't think it'll be Parliament tomorrow. I think there's two things to look out for. One is tomorrow is the ethics advisor report. Hopefully, giving his view on what the Angela Rayner situation is and to get an outcome there. Obviously, we won't decide whether Angela Rayner should resign or not, but he will decide whether Angela Rayner broke the ministerial code, if anything, as well. So that's the important stuff there. And then this weekend as well is the first of the party conferences this season. And it's a biggie because it's Reform to Party Conference tomorrow and Saturday. 2 days of conference Reform UK. Today's news, interesting enough as well, and I'm probably sure we'll probably hear from her as well. Nadine Dorries, former Conservative Health Minister, has defected to Reform today. As well. I'm sure we'll hear from her. We'll hear from the big beast of Reform, and we'll obviously hear from Farage himself, who's been out of the country, out of Parliament. But we're back in Birmingham tomorrow and Saturday to deliver his keynote speech as well. So it's Reform UK's party conference tomorrow and Saturday, and so I'm sure that'll be a big deal across the news waves tomorrow.
That is it for the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care and have a great night. We'll see you again next time for another edition of the show. Take care and goodbye.